G'day guys, welcome to Lawn Care Skull Sessions. I'm Ben from Catch Pro. Joining me is BJ from TBL Property Maintenance, the bearded lawnsman. BJ, how are ya?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Good, man. So, seeing as you roped me into doing this podcast, would you like to tell the listeners what we're all about and what's doing?
Yeah, mate. We're just a couple of friends who got together and thought doing a podcast for the lawn care industry here in Australia would be a great idea. We're not going to do anything too serious. Hopefully we'll throw some good content your way and have a couple of good laughs along the way.
Yeah, so for everyone that doesn't know, obviously we both have lawn mowing businesses. Yep. So BJ runs TBL Property Maintenance. What sort of jobs do you tackle and how long have you been going for?
So I've been going from December 2014, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we basically just focus on large properties now. So we've got a couple of villages and we do acreages and we actually are really getting stuck into these bigger properties that keep us on site for a good amount of time. And we're looking to expand this year, which is awesome.
Yep, and then behind the scenes, you're Mr. Skag Ambassador Australia. So
that was awesome. That came along after I bought my first Skag and decided that I love the machine so much. I bought a second and everything just sort of rolled from there. I talked to the guys at Skag, I talked to Ben, and just got started and it happened from there.
Yep, and then so basically we run Greenscape Solutions and we have Catch Pro Australia as well, where you can get products and accessories for your gear. And so what we're really trying to bring you guys is just a fun little show to kick back and relax to. So BJ, what topic are we going to be talking about today, pal? Let's get right into it.
Today we're going to be talking about standards versus sit-downs. So I know there's a lot of controversy and everybody's all about the stand-ons or the sit-downs, but you know there's some pros and cons to both machines, and we'll run through a few of them today.
And I bet you there's people, sitting back and thinking that that Ben fella's right in the middle of that controversy.
100%. Why would you stand up?
But the thing about it is too that, when we're talking about pros and cons and controversy of which style, I mean, to me, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, there's an application for everything. And, even if one person decides that one concept is better, that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, right?
And it depends on your work situation too. Like, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have the best of both worlds. I have a stand-on and a sit-down machine, and I use them for completely different jobs. So they both have their place in a business, and hopefully we can explain where they fit.
And really, like, if you go back 24 months, who had a stand-on?
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't content coming out of Australia on stand-ons until recently. It's picked up, and
it's been good to watch too. Like, it's been good to get into something, be able to show it to people, and then for other people to get amongst it and be like, this helped me.
Yeah, finally something different in the industry.
Yeah, so, all right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to go back a little bit. Let's do a little bit of history. So we've had a look. Now, the first zero-turn mower that was commercially available, now, everyone seems to think it was a Hustler, but I did some digging. Now, in 1955, Max Booth Swisher comes out with the Ride-On King, and this was a front-wheel drive and a two real wheels at the back, and that front wheel was your zero-turn radius. So, everyone seems to think it was the Hustler, but do you want to catch me up on the real news about the Hustler?
So, XL Industries actually came up with the first hydrostatic zero-turn. So, that happened in 1964. And they were like innovators with that, and they pushed forward, and along comes the hydrostatic zero turn, which so many people are using at the moment. So.
And just for anyone else out there that doesn't recognise the name XL Industries, that XL is the parent company of Hustler and Big Dog Mowers. So, just to catch you up there. Now, in 1997. Bill Wright from Wright Mowers, he creates the stand-on mower. So, relatively new concept. I mean, in Australia, would you say zero-turn mowers have been popular for like, what, 10, 15 years tops?
Yeah, since people started doing large acreages. It's one of those things that we haven't seen less of, but there's definitely a push for the standards to come in more.
And then, so even when you have a look, 1997, right? What were you doing in 97?
I don't even know.
What?
How old was I? Like
10? No.
Really? 10? I was going to say 20. I have no idea what time it is.
97. I was 11.
I was probably like riding a bike.
I was probably having my first ciggy.
Probably. I was probably getting in trouble for something.
Okay, cool. So, you know, in the last 24 months, okay, well, how about we have a look at 24 months ago? As far as stand-on mowers, you probably had, what, 3 brands?
Yeah, you would have Skag, Gravely,
Bobcat?
Bobcat.
I think Toro was around. I think there was some sort of lawsuit or something, and they pissed him off for a bit. But then they sort of got it back amongst it once the popularity came back. So how long have you personally had a zero turn for?
So a zero turn, I actually got one not too far after I started. My business picked up quite quick.
Yeah.
And I actually started with a walker, which, you know, might, after I explain, might hurt a few people's feelings, but I loved the cut and I loved the collection, but I hated the machine because it always broke down. It was a second-hand machine, so it came with its issues, and I moved past that. Had that for a while, and then I moved into a country clipper and did a couple of 100 hours on that, and I realised that the work that I was doing, it was time to jump into commercial style machine, and I chose Skag, and I got my first commercial machine, and it was a 48-inch Tiger Cat.
But I'm glad you brought up Walker because, you know, even though I have the Catch Pro and, you know, the Walker is a direct collect, I mean, the Walker still, even though I built the Catch Pro, you know, specifically because I didn't want a Walker, the Walker still has a top spot in the market.
Yeah, 100%. It
I mean,
does
the
have
cut...
its place. Like most machines in the market, they have their place, and like we're not here to bag any machines out. That was just my personal experience, and that was me being quite naive as well. Like I just saw this Walker at a great price, and it came through a dealer as well, so I thought I was covered. And obviously, you know, things happen, and yeah.
I mean, I had a Walker too, and you know, the cut quality is amazing. Those floating decks are awesome for, you know, no scalpies and all that sort of stuff. The grass collection is superior, and you're really not going to get any better. The only downside that I believe in the Australian market is that it's a tough flog getting them on paddocks.
Yeah.
You can't really. They're an industry. They're application specific.
Yeah.
You know, with your schools and your maintained areas.
I couldn't imagine having to take one through, like, we do a 40-acre property together. The sticks...
Doing it tomorrow?
Yeah, we're doing it tomorrow. The sticks would absolutely destroy it. In 5 minutes, you'd be up for a new blower. You know, sticks don't... It's definitely a different application. I think they're more for parks, and they're more for big manicured acreages and things like that. And they do have their place in suburbia as well. Like, you can get a little unit in and out of a lot of places, like I did. And yeah, they do. They collect really well.
Yep. And so when did you get your first stand on? And even the reasoning behind it. Why did you decide to get amongst the stand on army?
Yeah. So in regards to my business, I have the villages, as I said before, and they have lots of little nooks and crannies. I have one where there's literally about a 40-inch gap between every house. So I decided to go for a 32-inch Skag V-Ride, and that just gave me a massive amount of access to all these different places that I never thought I'd get a zero turn. And the reasoning behind it was I was just running out of time. And realistically, my body, it's like my main tool. I need that to last as long as I can. So pushing a mower, you know, I'm either doing 2 stripes with a push mower, or I'm doing one quick whiz over with my mulcher down, and yeah, it's all to do with time and my body.
So you're telling me I had no influence on you at all?
Oh, you had a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, you had a little bit.
Here I am trying to push it. And I got me brother over here won't even take it. You know.
Yeah, you've influenced me a few times. I won't lie.
So while we're just quickly going back and forth before we get into some pros and cons, are we going with ZTR or ZTR?
I'm saying ZTR.
Yeah, me too. Because you know, Z is what proper, but it just doesn't sound right.
It doesn't at all.
Okay,
There's
cool.
not going to be much proper about this.
Yeah, that's true. So ZTR is what we're rolling with.
Yeah.
All right, so in terms of your sit-down mowers, let's run through some pros and cons. Well, I guess let's concentrate on the pros first. Now, one that stands out to me is you obviously get to sit down.
Yeah.
I think that there is a con inside a pro there.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that soon. But, you know, if you're doing, say, 2 acres plus, you know, I can understand how sitting down would be appealing.
Yep. And yep, that's really why I enjoy my sit down, is the large area mowing. I can tend to get a bit lazy. I do think that standing has its place on large. Like, we have a bit of a disagreement here. He enjoys a stander, even for large properties. I don't. I'm more of a sit-down guy, and I'll leave my little stander for in and out of these little properties and little areas.
I mean, guys get heated when I say, you know, that I prefer to stand. And look, I probably happily would sit on the 40 acres.
Yeah.
Anything for me that is kind of 5 acres and under, I'm 100% perfectly comfortable standing.
Yeah.
It's almost more relaxing to me just because the sitting down position, it doesn't hurt me while I'm sitting down, but for the life of me, it's hard to get up.
Yeah, well, you've got plenty of back issues that have sort of swayed your choices as well.
Absolutely. Now, I want to put it out there to the listeners and to you, BJ, that have you ever been on a sit-down ZTR and you're mowing along and you just start getting super tired and you just want to have a little nap?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so that has never happened to me on a stand-up.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
And people will, you know, like I said it to my wife one day. I was legit going to fall asleep. Like, I was like, man, I'm about to pass out.
At that 40 acres, you could sneak away.
Yeah, but so
Standing up. I can.
Where I'm going with it though is that, you know, maybe not if you're a solo operator, but, you know, if you're running a crew of guys and you've got, you know, machines and stuff, yeah, it can be a real motivation killer if you just cannot stay awake on that thing.
Especially, you know, you got your drink here, you got your nice cushy seat, you got your armrests, you're just going forward, especially when you're running long stripes. It's going to get tiring.
You know,
in the sun.
I'm not huge on safety either, but you know, you at least have to be aware of your surroundings, right? So if you're just like full mellow and you're like, you know, doing the long blinks, you got to expect that one day something could happen.
Yeah, you run over something, damage the machine, damage yourself, or damage someone else.
All right, cool. So when we're talking about, you know, pros of a sit down, obviously, you know, the fact that you're sitting down is in there.
Yeah.
Is there any other pros?
I love the foot pedal. I know that some of the standards are coming out with foot pedals.
That is a great point. Like, I was, you know, just thinking to myself, what's he going to come back at with me? But
100%. That hover is awesome.
So can we explain to everyone what we mean exactly by having a deck pedal that lifts and lowers the deck, you know, whilst in operation?
Yeah, so, you know, you're going along, you see a stick in front of you. Instead of having to stop, move the stick, you can lift that deck a little bit and you can just hover straight over the top of it with your foot pedal. Most ETRs have the deck lift. I think as you go down the spec into residential models, I think a few of them miss out.
A lot of the crap ones. Don't have
a lot
them,
of
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
So, but
And
all the good shit has a mate.
yeah, 100%. All the good ones have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just something that I've gotten used to now, and I don't know how I can sort of move forward without one. I'm not going back, that's for sure.
Well, I know that, like, I had a Country Clipper.
Yeah.
And I had one of the older models, and it had that deck pedal.
Yeah.
And that was right when I was coming out with the Catch Pro.
Yeah.
If you watch my earlier videos, even though they're really embarrassing, if you have a look at my earlier videos, every time I do a zero turn, I'm lifting that deck.
Yeah.
Because then, if you're turning near unlevel, bits of concrete or unlevel bits of ground, or, your deck wheels, the scalp wheels, these anti-scalp wheels that actually scalp the grass when you turn, you lift it, you're able to do a zero turn, you bung it back down and off you go.
Yeah, no, 100%. But my Avenue, my Country Clipper, the one after yours, didn't have one.
I'm sorry, that's where I was actually supposed to go.
Yeah.
With the rest of that story.
That was a bit of a downside. It was a good machine, but yeah, that was a bit of a downside.
What about rollover bars? Because I literally don't care about them.
I honestly, the only time I've ever really used them is when we've done something like so we've got motorbike jumps on the 40 acres.
Yeah.
That's probably the only time I'll use them. Most of the time they're down. It wouldn't fit in my trailer for one, and number two, I only really mow flat ground. I definitely see that there is a benefit when you're doing hilly areas, and I know that people definitely should be using them when they're doing unsafe work. So they do have a part, but I'm just not 100% sure that part is.
I mean, if
my business,
I haven't had a sit down with rollover bars before. Not one that I've used. Obviously, we've got the Bush Ranger that has them, but Rusty's typically on that, not me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be really, really tempted to put a little roof on there.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Except for trees.
I actually saw a guy the other day rolling around on a Tiger Cat with a roof, and I wasn't fast enough to pick him up.
They don't come standard with that, or
no? They don't. I'm not sure if it's an add-on or if it's actually just something that he's had fabricated himself. I know the company, so I've spoken to the boss before, but
coming soon to Catch Pro, guys. Sunroofs for your rollover bars.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Like,
you heard it here first.
That's it.
Okay, cool. So, all right, when we're talking then, so do you think that there's any other positives to a sit-down machine?
I do find when I use the 32, I'll get a bit of hand fatigue. I don't get that in my arms.
Wanker's cramp?
Yeah, wanker's cramp.
It's the only way I can explain it.
It's real bad sometimes when I'm just having to hammer out a large amount of mowing. But I feel a bit more laid back. I don't know if it's just my machine, but I feel really comfortable. I can tilt the machine back and forth, and like basically the same as what you said. You can just get real comfy, and I like the fact that there's a big footwell. I mean, I can throw like a full esky on my footwell.
Something that I think all ZTRs are missing is like a little friendship toolbox somewhere. You know, like a little compartment to put your chapstick.
Yeah, 100%. I think basically every mower on the market is missing a friendship sack.
But I'm not talking about like just a little cradle, like a little, plastic mold. I'm talking about like something you can...
Like a second battery box.
Yeah, with a lid.
Yeah.
Put your seckies in there in case you bloody, hit a rope or whatever it is.
Well, that's a big thing for me. Like I know there are add-ons. You can get the trimmer racks and stuff you can put on your ZTRs.
Oh, yeah, available on the Catch Pro website.
Yeah, on the Catch Pro website. Yeah, no, I haven't got one personally because I don't really run around with a trimmer, but I do understand, like, sometimes you need something and you don't want to go all the way back to the car, especially doing villages like mine.
Just your personal items.
Yeah.
Keys, wallet, phones, ease.
I don't really like leaving my wallet in my car anymore, so...
Yeah, I'm a shocker for that. Well, we're sidebarring a little bit. Yeah. So let's have a look at the stand-on. Now, from my point of view, there is several pros. There is definitely some cons.
Yep.
One thing that gets overlooked. So in my business now, we've downscaled Greenscape Solutions a bit, and we don't typically. Well, I mean, I can't carry a sit down anymore because I widened my trailer. I can fit a 54-inch stand-on there because the length of the overall machine is more compact.
Yeah.
But I can't put a 54 sit down on
No.
there. So that's definitely a huge pro, is that the footprint is a lot more compact.
That's 100%.
And you're able to get
benefits.
So in America, when they run around with their huge crews, they're able to get like a 12-foot flatbed trailer or whatever it is, and they just load those stand-ons on, so that when they roll into a street or whatever it is, it's like, all right, boys, go for it, boom, 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 and they can essentially fit an extra machine on a trailer.
Yeah, no, well, that's what it sort of led me to jump onto the stander, was that little bit, that little footprint. Like, I can carry my 48 and my 32 and still have room for rubbish on my trailer. And that's another thing too, like, as you're talking about footprints, the deck sizes. So, like, there's no 32-inch sit-downs.
Well, I think you got your press deck models, but we don't have a lot of time for that.
Let's talk about commercial machines now.
Or at least semi-commercial.
Yeah, that's it.
There's still some credible 34 sit-down. Like, I think the Gravely has a little press deck one that I think goes all right.
That's when you're talking about 2 inches. It's at that village of mine. So there's like a 40-ish inch gap, and I just slide through there. So that's with a 32. If I had an extra 2 inches, I wouldn't even come close.
Now, if we're talking about 2 inches to your bulge, that makes a big difference.
100%. I'd pay a lot of money for 2 inches.
I wouldn't even be married.
Yeah.
I'd just have it out all the time.
I'd be showing it out.
Okay, back to this small footprint. So, obviously in the Australian market, 32s and 36s dominated first, right?
Oh, 100%.
They were, I don't know the statistics, but it was something like 90% of stand-ons were 36 cuts.
Yeah.
And that was predominantly from, you got your Skag V-Ride, your Bobcat, Quick Cat, and the Gravely 36 Pro Stance.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen the 32s come in and the whole concept has been more popular, now you're starting to see the 52s and 61s come.
Yeah, which is really exciting to see some 61s rolling through.
Yeah, I mean, look, I ride a 54.
Yep.
I still love my 48. 48's really good in your residential, up to a couple of acres, but anytime I think you're getting beyond, I use it on any acreage now.
Yeah.
But I think anytime you're getting beyond, say, 2 to 4 acres, if you step up to that 54 or 61, you're just punching the work out.
Yeah. The thing is too with 48s and 54s, there's not too much difference between components. So like, or your running gear and things like that.
Yeah,
so
you're sort of staying within the same similar spec. But once I know the 52, huge. The 52 V-Ride. What engine's that running?
It's running
They got the big block on there.
I think you can. It's different here in Australia. We have limited options.
We get shafted.
Yeah,
That's why it's
is
different.
a little bit of a hard thing to not manufacture in Australia, and the options just aren't here. But
being an Aussie is fucking awesome until you need to buy something.
Yeah. So the thing is though that with more of these machines being bought here in Australia, obviously the options are going to come in, and I can't wait to jump on a 61-inch Skag V-Ride with a big 1000 on a big Kawasaki 1000. I know there's one on the water. I want it.
The big one for me is the Super 88. Don't even know. I don't think there's one in the country, and I think they're like 40 grand, so it's not like I'm buying one. But that Super 88, like if you're doing massive work, and I'm talking about not just 140, I couldn't even justify it for 140 acre property.
No, it'd be like the Port of Brisbane or something like that. And even those guys are running the big Toros with the big bat wings. And if not, they've got Groundmasters.
Yep.
And there's a guy out there with a 72-inch Turf Tiger as well. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk Hillsides. So hillsides, and look, I don't typically do tons of hillsides. I have hit a few in the last couple of years since I've had stand-ons, but I mean, it really, like, once you do it on a stand-on,
Yeah.
you really start building trust in that machine.
Yeah. It's
I think.
like a motorcycle. I think it's got more of a motorcycle feel. You can move your body with the actual, like, the machine, and I've seen you tackle quite a steep hill with a stand on, and then I've seen you do the same hill with my 48, same deck size, everything, same brand of mower, same running gear. And,
Yeah, you just can't manipulate the machine the same way.
you just can't move your body weight to aid in the climbing of the hill.
They're just more cumbersome, right? Like the sit down is just more cumbersome. It's like using a push mower compared to a self-propelled.
Or
They're just
driving a car and driving a motorcycle.
Yeah, I don't typically ride motorbikes, but So, all right. So with the hillsides now, we've got stand-ons. This is something that I want to point out. You got some stand-ons, and the presence control is in the handle, which means you can flip the platformer up, and theoretically walk around with it, or whatever. Now the other style is the presence switch. The operator presence switch is in the platform.
Yep.
And the platform is usually built into the machine, so it's kind of like a part of the machine.
Yeah.
Instead of you standing on the arse end of the rig, you're in tight and you're one with the machine. Now, personally, I've had both. I don't feel like there's a lot of pros in the presence control being in the handles, because I see a lot of guys, they're like, for some reason, walking the machine up into their trailer or something like that. I mean, for me, I feel 10 times safer just standing on the thing.
Yeah, me too.
So, that's some feedback that I'd like to hear. You guys are able to jump on the website or hit us up on social media, give us some feedback or give us some of your opinions. That'd be great to hear from you guys.
I think maybe on that, the ability to flip that foot plate up might give you a little bit of extra room, but I know with, like, even my little V ride, the platform is actually built quite far into the machine, and the pad is bolstered. I don't think it'd be enough to really accommodate much more.
To me, that is the only pro to having. I mean, look, it is comfortable. I had that Bradley Parklander. I haven't had the opportunity to get on a grandstand. Because the grandstand has that platform. I have had a Bobcat, like I've had a demo day with a Bobcat, and they are comfortable to ride for sure. Like that big platform is awesome for comfort and storage. Yeah, I don't think walking behind a stand-on is very safe at all. No, like I would actually feel more comfortable doing a mono for the boys before I would, walk behind a mower when it's, actually, I'll tell you a story. I got bogged really bad on an acreage when I had my Bradley, and it had the flip up platform, right? So I'm trying to, maneuver the machine and get out of it. And I thought, okay, because the platform was bogging down into the mud. So I lifted it up. And, I'm just hitting the controls backwards and forwards, trying to get traction. Eventually, I got traction when I was going backwards. And the mower has hit me in the leg, driven up my leg, almost snapped my leg in two. Now, and you've seen my pins. They're, they're not...
I actually remember the photos from this day.
Yeah, so, but if you were on a stand-on that had that presence switch inside the platform, the minute you step off, it's kill switch. Yeah,
and that's why I find them a much safer option when you are doing that hill work. You can just bail out at any time. That's the huge benefit to having a stand-on as well, is like a safety feature, just ditching.
Yeah, sure. One thing that we haven't touched on yet is the dual fuel tanks on sit-downs. Now, typically they're not really found. Dual fuel tanks aren't really found on stand-ons.
No.
Are you aware of any?
No, not particularly. Like, I haven't really looked at heaps of other stand-ons fuel capacity. Like, I know that, like, I know on my sit-down I've got more capacity than on your stander.
On my V-Ride, yeah.
but-
So, yeah, I mean, look, when you're doing big properties, or, even if you have a look at it on a weekly cycle, if you rock up to a servo and you fill up those dual tanks, no matter which way you weigh it up, you're not going to go back there before you would if you only could fill up one.
Exactly.
So I know the KG Spartan has dual fuel tanks, but it's not available here yet. So we can't can't really sort of say that it's a factor yet because they're not here.
Yeah.
So all right, well, how about we have a look at some of the cons now?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, Ben's not going to have any cons, but I do.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's seen me hit my head on that clothesline.
Oh, it's one of the massive cons is how much it's like a Kanga.
Are you kidding? So let me just, he's taking the piss here, but, something that I see all the time, right? This is what gets me hot, is people are like, oh, God, why would you fucking stand when you can sit? And, they go on about all this stuff. And then they're like, oh, I've used a dingo before and it was the worst thing in the world. But, I know you're just taking the piss. But can you just tell everyone the real difference between a stand-on
They're completely different.
and a dingo or a Kanga?
Yeah, they're completely different machines.
It's like rooting in a waterbed
Yeah.
compared to rooting on the floor on concrete, right?
Hand jobs with sandpaper or lube. It's kind of a dumb argument. They're completely different machines. They're for different applications. They're completely different. Like, I don't know how else to say it. They're 100%.
But what I'm saying is that people who say that comment, they've never been on a stand-on
They're probably
before.
people that have never been on a stander, have never seen a stander in person, and more than likely don't even know how to use a stander. Never mind a zero turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's what gets me hot. When people automatically assume and just, start. Now, it would be different if someone approached me or even had a comment and said, hey, Ben, is this similar to this? Or, hey, Ben, would this be like this? And then I would, kindly reply, no, it's way different. Rah, rah. But when you come out and say, like, oh, fuck, rah, rah, all this stuff, and then it's just like, man, where have you come from?
Yeah, who are you? What have you been doing with your life?
So, as far as cons, when you're talking about operating a stand-on, realistically, if you break your ankle, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're in the middle of nowhere. You definitely are.
That's something that you got to weigh up, man. Like, if you got
home on 1 foot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have the best ankles either, so it could happen to me one day, and we could be, people might, see me have to try and tackle this problem.
I'll have to come and rescue you. The other thing is obstructions. As much as being on a stander is amazing for your field of vision, sometimes you're not going to see that air conditioning unit that's sticking out a little bit too much. You're looking down and you're like, oh, look at everything I can see in front of me. It's amazing. And you'll get clipped by a branch. You'll get clipped by an air conditioning unit.
The clotheslines are the worst.
Yeah, clothesline.
And I mean, it happened to me on film, but it's happened to me on more than one occasion. Something that else that is a little bit of a con is spider webs. Spider webs in trees. You're like, I can go under this tree, and then boom, golden orb.
Yeah, or when you hit one of those big black ants nests, and you're just covered in black ants. And for me, it takes me a long time to get them out of my beard.
I feel like you would like that. Like, you would like being covered in ants.
Nah, but they don't bite. I like the ones that bite.
He does. He likes the pain.
I'm weird.
I've been around him when he's around the bees.
I love getting stung.
It's weird,
man.
It
fires up my day. Makes me work 100 times harder. I feel like I'm really earning my money.
I mean, if we had a camera on that hedge job where you were getting hit on the ass.
I actually fell down how high do you reckon it was? It was a 2-tier wall, wasn't it?
And there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, I just had to go. I just tumbled straight down it. Ben had hurt his back. So
I pulled the pin, and I was getting hit by wasps or bees, and I was like, fuck this, it's not even worth the money. And I pulled the pin, and here's BJ getting stung like anything, laughing about it, enjoying it.
I was bleeding too because I hit a rock on the way down on my ass, and I was just claret and stings. I don't know if I would have enjoyed getting stung on the actual wound, but yeah, it was funny. They're all stories. They're all stories that other people enjoy.
Yeah, if we could have had that one on film, that would have been the best.
Awesome.
Talking about it's just not the same.
It would have gone viral, as the kids would say.
So, is there any other cons that come to light with stand-on mowing? Because I mean, look, you mentioned the hand cramp thing earlier.
Yep.
That is something that I have felt is a real thing. So, I've only got really the Skag. I've had time on the Bradley, but just the fact that you've got your hands in one stationary position and you're really only controlling it with your thumbs.
Yeah.
If you're doing long periods of time at once,
Yeah.
so I'm not talking about small jobs in a day. I'm talking about just hours of mowing. For me, I get tension in my hands, and that really builds and gets a little bit sort of tiring.
Well, that's it. The job that we do, automatically we're going to have sore hands from hedging all day or something like that, and then you jump on a mower, and if you're using a stand-on all day, every day, it's gonna fatigue your hands.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the actual ride comfort, I guess the only other con in regards to the the ride comfort is sometimes my knees get just from rubbing up against that pad all day, I get a little bit of a spot in my knees.
You've got a lot more experience on large properties though. I use my 32 mainly for residential. I've used it on some bigger ones like 2 acres, but that's still not huge. Like when we're talking 5, 6, 7 and up.
Yeah. All right. Now for everyone out there who is, because we can't all afford to have 2 machines or multiple machines, right? For the people out there who are like, should I stand, should I sit, or, whatever it is that or even if they can afford, even if they've got to sit down, they're looking to get a stand on. Yeah. If you had the ultimate choice, I'm not talking deck sizes or anything like that. I'm just talking about the concept. Once we've weighed up all the pros and cons, what is your pick, stand or sit?
Oh, you're gonna fucking hate me, but it's got to be a sit down.
Okay, no, that's cool.
It's good.
Hey, that's the thing that people are tripping on. That I don't care if anyone wants to sit. All I have ever tried to do is to say, hey, look, this is something that's. I think that there's a statistic, watched it in an Ed Wright vid or something like that. It was a while ago now. It was probably 2 years ago that I watched it. But there was they were looking at market trends and saying that by, 2020, something like 70% of contractors would be standing.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Like my decision, it's not based on...
you're just fucking lazy.
Yeah, well, it's not that. No, it's the work that I would love to target. I would love to be able to bang my tunes in and just do, massive acreages.
But that's valid.
But on the other hand, like my 32, it gets me in and out of places quick. It's comfortable. Like it's not a comfort thing. The only reason that I say a sit down is because that's the type of work that I want to target.
Okay, so
I want to target that large.
Okay, so let me ask you this way: if we have a contractor that's listening, and their target market is 1/4 acre properties up to about 2 acre properties, that is their target market, and that is say that's the work that they're already doing. Yep. And we take into consideration that not every block is flat. There are some gated areas. Is a sit down still?
No.
You don't think so?
No, it's a stand up for sure.
Because for me, if I was to answer that question myself, I don't know that I could necessarily give that advice and say, hey, you have to get a stand.
No, I wouldn't say you have to, but my personal preference and what I would say to them is like a stander will leave you with more space on your trailer. Because if you're doing those sort of properties, most of the time it comes with gardening as well. It's when you get into the bigger acreages and things like that, land clearing, and that's when you're not taking away so much green waste. But that would be my personal preference for like quarter acre and up, and that's where I've used the 32 to some degree. I had a car accident. My trailer was written off, and I could only really carry one machine. I got a bunch of sort of 2-ish acre-ish properties, and I just hit them all with the 32. And I didn't, it wasn't a huge reduction in time and productivity, but
Okay,
it was noticeable. It was noticeable.
No, let's talk about productivity. So, do you think if we have, and we'll just keep it brand related, if you have a 36 Liberty, which by the way, BJ and I both have never owned, but let's say you got a 36 Liberty and a 32 V Ride, do you think that the 32 V Ride is as or maybe even more productive than the 36 sit
More
down?
productive.
I totally agree.
Yeah, the speed that the V Ride has is the same as the speed as a 36. So they run the same components. So that's something that's pretty cool about the V Ride. I'm not sure with.
Oh, do they both run the same pump and wheel?
Same
10cc?
Same, yeah, 10cc. So
okay, cool.
About 14 k's an hour for the 32.
So when you look at, I've just got to try and freestyle here. When we're looking at other 36 machines on the market, there wouldn't be a lot that are running that 10cc.
No.
Most of them would be running the 3100 hydros or something like that. I mean, that's probably your top end 36s. Yeah. So the 32 is going to pump over that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a It's 14 k's an hour. People are like, oh, that's not that fast. But when you're on a stander, it's a fast machine.
I mean, I don't always think it's relative. Like if you're doing 600-800 square meter blocks, top speed is probably. I think it would be rare that you're just going wide open the whole time.
It depends on your
once you get up to
clients too.
Once you get up to half an acre or a quarter an acre or something, you're going wide open. I think that's something that
there's a difference between maintenance work and like grass cutting.
Absolutely,
I've got one customer, quarter acre block. I run in there with 32. I catch the front with the Catch Pro. Available at catchpro.com.au. But I catch the front and I mulch the back. So mulch the back is the large part and the catch of the front is not that big. 21 minutes in and out. That's snipped, blown, everything. 21 minutes for a quarter acre. That's money in the bank.
So you got the speed factor. What about, say, maneuverability? Like on your actual, let's say you're on a footy field, you're going backwards and forwards, maneuverability, all of those types of things. Like if you're comparing that 36 Liberty to the 32 V Ride, you're probably still going to be, like I know when we do the 40 acres, your Tiger Cat has a higher top end speed, but when we're going lap for lap, you get me on all the straights, but when we do our zero turns, I'm just creeping behind.
That's 100%.
So realistically, if they were going the same top speed, I could have you. Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, that's good info for people to be able to sort of take away and be able to get a little bit of a scope of how those machines differ.
Yeah.
What about maintenance? Like, I mean, changing the blades and your oil changes, maybe the spindles, like greasing your spindles. What do you think about maintenance?
Well, I actually greased.
Do you think any style it's probably more brand orientated?
I think it is brand orientated. I know I did my spindles today on both machines. Very simple, very easy to.
You got a little bonnet, eh? You can lift up a bonnet to get to.
Yeah. On the Tiger Cat, you just got a bonnet. You can lift it up and take the covers.
I have to fucking unscrew mine to do it.
Do you?
No, I don't have a.
Oh,
it's a bonnet
on the V Ride. Yeah, you can take the caps off.
Yeah, but don't you just do like a little lifty?
Yeah, on the sit down I do.
Yeah.
So maybe that's another.
So that's what I mean. That's what I'm getting at. Sit down probably wins that.
Yeah.
Any other maintenance issues? I mean, the motors are pretty, and the air filters, they're all pretty accessible once you start getting up in that range.
I think when you're like talking about like maybe the hydro pumps and things like that, I think the hydro pumps underneath a sit down machine are and sort of on top.
Well, I don't mess
But I
with the
mean,
hydros, man.
Yeah, I don't mess with the hydros.
Actually,
But,
I'll tell you
I can
what.
flip it up and the fans are there.
Yeah, but when let's say you get bogged in a paddock, right?
Yeah.
To hit, yeah. Well, that's what brought, that's what triggered the memory. To be able to flick the switch on the hydros to get you in free spin is probably easier.
It is, yeah.
On a stand on.
Yeah. Oh, I guess my sit down, I just jump off.
See, that's already, I've already fucking beaten you.
Yeah.
Jump off.
Oh,
That's
true.
something that we did not touch on. So if you're, this is a huge pro to stand on mowing. And especially if you're doing anything residential, if you've got these fucking hoses and dog toys and all this shit in the way.
That doesn't happen, does it?
In a perfect world.
Yeah.
But, how great is it just being able to just do like a little beep boop and then, bang, rather than, you're flinging your bloody, your lap bars, then you got to do this, you got to get up and, by the time you get back on, you're like, fuck this.
With just jumping off is so much easier. You got energy to kick shit out of the way.
And you can even do like the little, just pull up next to it and just heave it off.
Yeah.
As long as you got 1 foot on the platform. You can
just stick your foot out the back and just like flick it across so you don't get it on your next line. That's the laziness coming out of me again.
Yeah, cool. So, look, do you think we've pretty much covered it all?
Pretty much. I definitely know there'll be people that have got more to add, so that'll be cool to see. And
hit us up on our socials. You can follow BJ at where?
I'm at TBL Property Maintenance on Instagram and The Bearded Lawnsman on YouTube.
Do you do TikTok yet?
I do TikTok, yeah. I don't do TikTok as much as I do Insta. I think that's my favourite platform because I like taking photos. And
I don't do TikTok.
You should.
Yeah, I'll talk to Josh about it.
You have enough snakes at your house. You can do a snake catching video.
Had a good one yesterday.
Yeah, I saw.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Lawn Care Skull Sessions with Ben and BJ. Don't forget to hit us up on our socials. Big shout out to all of our LMCA comrades out there. Love being a part of those groups and definitely love you to be a part of this with us. We're going to get some call-ins eventually.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. Hopefully we get the admin from LMCA. We'll get we know a few other people in the
industry. What's her name again?
Which one? Super cuties.
Jared?
Yeah.
Jaraday?
Antoinette.
Yeah, I think we can definitely hit up a few LMCA guys and gals to get amongst the podcast. Yeah. Don't forget to let us know what content you want to hear. It's not going to be all business related. We're going to be talking about equipment, things that give you the shits, whether it's what's an example?
Workers,
employees.
Finding the right person to fit into your business.
Yeah, so and then we might try and hit up some industry guys like Paul Sheehan, Rob Shearer.
You got an in with Brian from Brian's Lawn Maintenance now?
Yeah, I don't know about having an American on here. It might just get awkward if
maybe
I ask
we can get Gary.
If Gary, hey, by the way, guys, don't forget to tune into Aussie Lawn Stars. Gary Ashton's doing some awesome stuff over there, so we could definitely get him in.
Yeah, hopefully he's bleeped out all my swears, and I'll be up on his soon enough. But
I was a good boy during that one.
Yeah, you were. I think I was. I sometimes I just say fuck and I don't realise I've said it. So
I just pretended I was talking to my mum and I was just super respectful.
It's like a job interview.
Yeah. Someone else in the industry that Aiden from Cox Mowers, I think it'd be cool to get him amongst it. He's got some really great insight. I think he's actually the grandson of the dude who'd invented Cox.
Oh, cool.
So don't take me on that. We'll do some research. We'll get him on the show and he can tell us the story.
Dealers, we could get some deals. I know Scotty from Ulladulla. He's Mr. V-Ride. So I actually spoke to him today when we were sorting out what we were going to do tonight, and he was instrumental in getting V-Rides into Australia. So that'd be awesome to talk to him. and he's a really good bloke, and he knows what he's doing.
And the homie Will from Rosebud.
Yeah, we'll get Brent maybe, like from CPM.
Yep. So lots of exciting stuff coming up. I'd love to get Carly Waller on.
Yeah, she's cool.
So that'd be cool. All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed, and peace out.
Peace.